Welcome to the Cara Michelle Show, where we break out of the matrix together and return heaven to earth. This is a place for the spiritual seekers and leaders, the dreamers and doers, the conscious creators and world changers. You can expect a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly a whole lot of purpose, freedom, and sovereignty. And of course, all things quantum. May this podcast serve you in remembering the truth of who you are, all that you came here to do, and how deeply supported you are in doing it. You are incredibly powerful and your mission is protected. So it's time to dial up your frequency and recalibrate to your higher self and limitless potential. Get ready, because we're about to blast off. A new reality awaits you on the other side. I'll see you there. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Cara Michelle Show, and I am so excited that you're here with me. I have literally just finished a dance party, classic Cara, which, as you may know, is kind of like an awkward shuffle, childlike hopping up and down, giggling away, blissful time. So I am here with my matcha, excited to dive in and just bring you this short and sweet trailer to go over what you can expect on the podcast and my mission, my vision, what I want this to provide for you, my hopes for the podcast moving forward, and just a quick overview so you know all the things to expect, because we're going to be all over the place at times, definitely, because that is kind of how my mind works. But my goal ultimately is to provide you with tools and insight and breakthroughs, not only around your subconscious mind and how powerful you are and how to reprogram it and create beliefs and create an identity that serves you and what you're here to do in the world, but also to share things that support you or maybe help you break out of the matrix, break out of the limitations and the boxed living that Earth has been very confined to for a long time. And so we are going to get out there. This is going to be very much energetic as well as it is practical. I am very good, I would say, self-proclaimed, very good at merging or like finding the balance between logic and like esoteric out there, quantum, right? I'm a Taurus, so I love the practical nature. I love logic. I love tangible physical things. The reason I got so passionate about mindset in general, which I'll get into in a moment, but like one of the main reasons is because I have this deep desire to understand and I want to know the truth and I want to know why these things work. I'm not okay to just hear someone say like, yeah, this thing happened. It's like, well, why did that happen? How did that work? How could that possibly make sense, right? And so my curiosity, I would say, and then that logical nature is what was kind of the driving force of really diving into the subconscious way more and trying to understand like how the mind is storing these things, why the past is keeping us stuck, why we're looping in these patterns that we don't want to be in, and maybe we're finally becoming aware of it, but we still can't break free. Like, what's going on? And how can I reprogram or repattern that in the deepest possible way, which in my opinion comes from a holistic, well-rounded approach of mind, body, soul, or mental, emotional, physical, and energetic levels, right? We need the cohesion. We need to be operating on all in order to find true lasting freedom. And in a very programmed world that has been designed to focus on hustle culture and 3D physical, tangible things only. So many of us have become disconnected from the emotional plane, from the mental plane a little bit. That's still pretty strong in such a stress and trauma and fear-based world, but also the energetic plane, right? And so my goal is to not only like hopefully teach you things as we go, but use my own journey, my own experiences, the kind of out there things that I've gone through that once did shake my sense of self and my sense of reality and my logical way of being, and kind of broke me open to how much more there is. And so that energetic piece with the quantum healing, with the portals and galactic beings and connection to a higher power, and all these things that have also been so incredibly healing along the way, and also very reaffirming or reassuring of the fact that like I'm not here doing this on my own. I am deeply supported even when it seems like shit's hitting the fan and I have no idea what's going on, or I'm like crying on the floor for the 20th time that week. Like, I'm supported and it's all happening for a reason, and I'm not alone in navigating it. We are going to be getting into all of these things and more. A little bit more about me. I did mention I'm a Taurus. I think that's pretty important. In my opinion, I would say I'm probably like the stereotypical Taurus. I'm also an INFJ, which probably explains a lot of like my dreamer tendencies and kind of living in a fantasy storybook all the time. And I am a 4/6 projector for all those human design fans, which is pretty cool. I would say it's also pretty exhausting, but I'm figuring it out and loving it now. But as a 4/6, quick side note, as a 6, the first 30 or so years of your life, you're living kind of as a 3, which is like experimental. And I look at the things that I've experienced, both like consciously choosing it and both just like feeling like this happened and now I've got to figure it out. I've experienced a lot in a short time, and because I love to analyze and then find meaning, find patterns, find root causes or things that connect and can benefit, it's been pretty cool to be able to experience and analyze and then digest, and now start this podcast to begin like distilling that information in an even larger way to support people. Obviously, I cannot do the work for you, and I'm not here to stop you from living certain things that are on your life's path or part of your soul's journey, or necessary challenges or lessons for your growth and evolution. Like, I can't control that, and I'm not trying to claim that, but I hope that some of the things that I have learned and some of my maybe harder lessons or challenges on the way are going to benefit you so that you don't have to learn the hard way quite as much. And you can learn from my experiences and take that higher path sooner, or have that higher awareness sooner to guide you in your journey. Last part with the kind of personality traits, I'm an Enneagram 9, which is the peacemaker. So my ultimate goal is like just peace, making sure everyone's happy and feels loved and supported, which has led to a lot of problems in the past, a lot of like people pleasing, playing small, and uh, dimming my own voice or my own needs to keep the peace, right? Like feeling like a burden or walking on eggshells. And so that's been a huge part of my empowerment journey. And we will definitely be touching on things regarding that to support those of you who maybe struggle with like taking up space or potentially rocking the boat by honoring your truth And as part of the sovereignty side of this podcast, it really is about honoring your fullest, highest truth, your most authentic truth, and being able to show up in the world and share that, even if the people around you don't understand, even if they don't like that you're standing more in your power, or you're not putting them first, or you're not being controllable the way that you used to be, or you're living a different path than what they want for you or they think you should live. And so that is so important for those of us. If you're listening, I'm going to make a bold assumption that you have a really big calling and higher purpose on the planet. And typically that comes with an environment that maybe isn't supportive, or feels like it's holding us back from that or constricting us. And I really want to help you step into that even more, so that you can go fully forward into the higher purpose and mission that you're here for. So, as I mentioned, we are going to be covering a lot of things to support you in your journey and to remind you of your limitless truth, your spiritual nature, your connection to a higher power, and truly how capable you are of creating anything in the world. And so, with that said, I want to share a really quick overview of my Coles notes of my journey, so you can understand more about me and who this Kara girl is, who's claiming that she's going to help you with these really, really big things in your life. And so, long story short, a lot of you already know this, but my journey really began in 2011 when my brother Derek passed away from an allergic reaction to a prescription drug. And I was 18 at the time, he was 21, and my life was just rocked. Like, my whole concept of reality at that time had been obviously very limited, very kind of fairy tale. In my mind, things were like normal, and everything was like, oh, this is just kind of how it is, and things are going good, and following the path that I felt was laid out for me, and the normal struggles that I felt all kids had leading up to that point. And then suddenly this happened, and it was like, whoa, what is going on? And what is the purpose of life? Why am I even here? What happens after we die? So many questions, so much soul searching in the midst of the heaviest pain I've ever experienced in my life with that grief. And that really was like the biggest first catalyst for looking for answers, looking for meaning, starting to open my mind more to different Eastern methods, to things like energy. I was very, very skeptical. Remember, I'm a Taurus. I was so skeptical of this stuff before losing Derek. There was a part of me that wanted to believe and really wanted to think that there was more, but I couldn't see it. So how could I actually believe it, right? And that was huge in like cracking me open to needing to believe in more, because I couldn't imagine the alternative, that he was just gone and that was it forever and ever. In a very contradictory or convoluted, confusing kind of way, I'm very grateful for all that initiated me into, and the path that started to bring me down, and the connection I now have with Derek in spirit. And obviously that was a huge part of everything that then I started moving into in my life. And so that sent me to finally pursue my passion of traveling and volunteering with wildlife and giving back, and like all the things that my little peacemaker heart had been wanting to do since I was a little girl, of just making a difference and helping others. And that felt like meaning, versus going to university, getting a degree that I didn't even want, trying to just look like I had it all together and like I was successful, even though I was miserable and anxious, and playing university volleyball and oh, having a 9 to 5 job or something for the rest of my life. That was terrifying to me. So I started traveling solo. I've spent the last decade doing that now, the last 5 years working online as a coach and doing coaching programs, masterminds. I now have multiple online courses to support people through the empowerment, the reprogramming work, and the quantum healing hypnosis for that deeper subconscious rewiring. But none of that would have happened if it hadn't been for the grief and the loss. And then about a year or two after that, I was raped at my university, and so that once again sent me in search of more healing, in search of more answers. Actually, energy work became really big at that point, where I finally started to open up to things like Reiki and working with the chakras and really looking at energetic signatures kind of on the base level of like how trauma imprints and how we can continue to attract things that we don't want. Because up until that point, I had attracted a lot of sexual harassment and actually sexual assault at multiple places, and then finally that experience, and soon after more assault, more harassment, and I was like, what is going on here? And finally I hit a breaking point with that of like, this can't be my life. I can't imagine that like that's what I'm here for. And thankfully, I went to India, started studying there, found more healing, experienced more assault, but then was like, this is it. And another turning point happened at that. And right after I returned from India, I was driving. Oh no, it was right before India. It was. So it was right before India, the winter before I went there. Backtrack. I was driving across Canada to move out west, and I hit black ice on the highway, lost control, flipped a couple times, and then rolled 4 times. Thank goodness there was so much snow, and I was in the median, and that was the first true moment in my life of like full-blown surrender. And I'll get into that more in another episode because surrender has then become such a big part of my journey. And it's something that I think is really important to touch on in so many different ways because it allows the divine to come in and support us, right? When we're clinging so tightly and our ego's clinging so tightly and we think we have to do it all on our own, we're limited because then we're just living from the 3D limitation. But when we open up and we allow ourselves to receive that higher support, whether that's through guidance and intuition or whether that's through like protection in a moment like this, we make that connection to the divine, we make that connection to our higher selves and that bigger aspect of us, and can be so incredibly supported and protected. That also leads into why I went to India, because I had a major out of body experience and I struggled with a lot of depersonalization, disassociation, and obviously PTSD and anxiety from that. And so once again, I was like, okay, I've got to find a way to deal with this. And staying back in Canada was not supporting me in that. And the environment there was just not what I needed at the time. So cue more travel, more mentorship, more incredible healers to study and learn from. And yeah, then since then, it really has just been like applying all these different tools, finding, I would say, like the secret sauce of where we start, what comes next, how we can get on the fast track, what do you need to know in order to make what people call quantum leaps, right? How do we jump into these new realities? And the quantum work especially has become key over the last 3 years. I guess it was beginning of 2020. I had the little ping in my head, the little light bulb went off of like, I need a quantum healer. And I didn't even know what that was at the time. I don't even think I didn't know anyone who did it, but it just came in really strongly of like, I was stuck in patterns in my business, feeling insecure and small there, racking up a ton of debt on credit cards because I was trying so hard to make my business work because I was like, I know this is my purpose and I know this is what I'm here to do and I'm going to find a way to do it. And I kept digging a hole deeper and deeper, lots of self-sabotage, lots of trauma that was still kind of playing out under the scenes that came back up during business things. As we know, business is like massive personal development space and like a constant mirror on everything about you. And then I was like, I need to do some quantum healing. And as the universe does, ask and you shall receive. Like within a couple weeks, randomly, I don't even use Facebook much, but someone had reached out and friend requested me and they did quantum healing. They were studying with this new mentor and she was doing a few like practice sessions or like initial sessions for her certification. And I was like blown away by what I experienced. And then I started working with that mentor and everything really did take major quantum leaps after that point. And now I just continue to see the world in a very different way, which brings us into the energetic realm or those higher dimensions. Like the things I've experienced over the last year or so are things that I would have thought were absolutely crazy if you had mentioned them to me when I was younger, such as communication with galactic beings, physically seeing UFOs and communicating with them. And then another experience I caught on film that I thought was aliens, but honestly now I think it was me seeing some kind of wormhole or portal that a being was jumping through, or like a dimensional shift. By the video, it looks a lot more like that. And then now like closing portals where dark entities were coming through, opening portals to bring light in, grid work around the earth, and obviously my favorite, which is the quantum healing hypnosis, the past life regressions, the connecting to higher selves and higher dimensions and our guides and angelic realm, to God consciousness for support, and all these amazing things that we will get into in the podcast through the episodes, and really start sharing these things so that you can apply them in your life, so that, like I said, you can start to realize you are so much more than the physical body or physical vessel. We're going to go deep into the programming on this planet because I am very angry when I look at the ways society has been brainwashed for generations, the lower levels of programming that have played out for far too long and are just deeply embedded in the collective unconscious. So I want to support you in breaking through those barriers and realizing like some of this is not even your own. Some of this has been around for ages. You know, we're fighting a lot of dark systems on the planet, and not saying that out of fear, because God is so much stronger and the light always wins. So there's nothing to be afraid of, but I think it's really important to be aware of it and to be empowered in how to rewrite these things. So we're going to get into that. I cannot wait. And I have some incredible episodes lined up for you as we get started. So with that said, thank you so much for being here with me. I am so excited to embark on this journey to help you remember your limitless truth, to support you in the incredible mission that you're here on Earth to embark on, and to help you feel less alone in the journey, less stuck, maybe less strange at times when you're like, whoa, like I see things very differently than the people around me, or I feel judged for this, or I've been made to feel like an outsider. And I want you to always feel like this is a safe space where you belong and you're seen and you're heard and you're valued and you're loved. So with that said, thank you again, and I will see you on the next episode.